You guys want to do one more?
Yeah.
We'll do one more real quick. How do they taste, by the way? How do you like it?
Delicious.
Like it? Good, right?
It's like more.
It's like more. You know, they say don't try this at home. We're going to teach you how to do it.
Do you have a book?
Have you written a book?
I've written vast quantities, but as of yet, it remains poetry in my head. Yeah, and I have lots printed, but it's never been edited or put for me. No, I don't have a book. But yes, we're all living for a book.
Okay, so the last one is probably a lot of raw fooders' favorite. We're going to add some raw cacao in this one, which is raw chocolate, basically. It's chocolate in its most original, natural, and most potent form. I'll talk about that in a minute, but we're going to add some almond milk first. Now, I made this almond milk by adding a cup of soaked overnight almonds. I soaked them overnight to reintroduce the enzyme inhibitors so that it can help to digest itself, basically. So I soaked them overnight, and then I put them in my Vitamix blender, which is one of the highest speed blenders on the market today. And to be able to make almond milk, you need a machine that can literally break down the cell wall of all of your fruits and your vegetables and your nuts and seeds to be able to get the maximum amount of nutrients out of it. And this machine is the only machine on the market that can do that. So that's why I'm using my Vitamix to make all of your smoothies, so you guys can get all the nutrients out of your fruits and your vegetables and everything that I made today, and also out of the almond milk. So I added 4 cups of water to the nuts that I put inside the Vitamix. I simply flicked the switch on, and a minute later I had milk. You don't necessarily need to drink cow's milk to get your calcium. Almonds are very, very high in calcium. So this is a healthier way, in my opinion, to get your levels of calcium and to... Sorry, you had a question?
Yeah, how much water do you put with the...
I put 1 cup of nuts to 4 cups of water.
1 pound?
1
cup?
1 cup of nuts.
Oh, 1 cup of nuts.
Yeah.
Okay. Right,
And then I put 4 cups of water in there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's going to be the base for my smoothie. Another question?
You said you use a Vitamix. You don't have to strain it after blending it?
Yeah, I did that. So the question was, once you've put the nuts and the water in, do you have to strain it to get the milk? That's up to you. If you want a thin consistency, if you don't want to have the pulp in there, then you can just strain it through what's called a nut milk bag, or like a fine mesh strainer. I used a nut milk bag. I just poured it in and then squeezed it through, and it separates the milk from the almond fiber. So I did that. So that's going to be the base. We're going to add a tablespoon of raw cacao powder. This is very, very high in antioxidants. Now, everybody's had chocolate at some stage. Everybody loves chocolate, but this is chocolate in its natural form. This is actually the bean or the chocolate nut that's actually been ground up. So this gives it a more subtle taste. It's not as powerful or strong as the actual cacao nib or the cacao bean, which you can put inside your smoothies as well. But this is so high in antioxidants. It has, 15 times more antioxidants than blueberries. Now, according to the health magazines, blueberries is it. It's the highest antioxidant content fruit you can get. Cacao beats that. It's 20 times more antioxidant power than green tea, and has 30 times more antioxidants than red wine. So this is a lot more nutritionally dense. It also has vitamin C. It's the only nut that contains vitamin C as well. And you wouldn't think chocolate has vitamin C in it. Now, when you eat or drink conventional chocolate, you're not getting any of those nutrients, any of the enzymes, any of the antioxidants, because they've been all cooked out. They've had milk added to it. They've had tons of sugar added to it. So there's no nutrient value, and you're just eating something that tastes good, has a lot of saturated fats in it, and is really not good for you. So when you crave chocolate, it's actually the minerals, especially magnesium, that you're getting from the cacao. So this is definitely a better way to get rid of your chocolate cravings and get some really good nutrition into your body as well. Anything you want to add to that, John?
No, that was so good.
Okay,
Makes me
good.
want some cacao smoothie.
Where is the cacao from?
This particular one?
Yeah.
It's from South America. Yeah.
Brazil, maybe, or...
No, it's more like Ecuador.
Okay. And now we're going to add some maca powder. So we're going to add about a tablespoon of that as well. Okay, you want to talk about maca a little bit?
Maca was one of these roots that when the conquistadors came over, they noticed that the cows were mating far more often at the higher altitude where the maca were growing. And they're like, oh God, we got to try some of that. Whatever they're eating, we want it. And they did that, and lo and behold, they had more endurance, more ability to hike up high mountains because their blood was oxygenated. You know, the hormones that begin to decline with the aging process begin to be able to be maintained at their natural balance. That is one of the superheroes in the plant kingdom that we call superfood, called maca. Maca is a superfood.
I just added a little bit of goji berries again, and I'm going to add a little bit of cordyceps mushrooms.
Cordyceps mushrooms, same
Yes.
deal.
Which
different country.
Cordyceps.
Yep. Yeah, it's basically up in the Himalayas. You know, they noticed that the yaks were eating in the places where they were eating. They were far more stronger. They were more prolific. They were just like really healthy. And they noticed that there was these little mushrooms that would grow out of the third eye region of caterpillars.
Wow.
And that these little life forms, these little mushrooms, they weren't really mushrooms, they're not really fungus, they're just their own little kind of like plant form of some sort, kind of like blue-green algae is strange that way too. This is in the mushroom kingdom, and it has the capacity to increase our body's uptake of oxygen. It works with the endocrine system. It's like a tonic all over. People just notice they have more energy and immunity. So it's great. Cordyceps mushrooms.
A lot of athletes use it, don't they?
It's true. In fact, in 1993, the Chinese running team was accused of taking steroids. Why? Because they beat almost every single race. And when they did, they said, okay, test them for steroids. Apparently, the only thing that they could find that actually they were doing was the cordyceps mushrooms. Now, I don't know the whole story, but I know that their trainers going, oh, it's the cordyceps mushrooms. And they were, you know, so there it was.
Okay, I put a banana in it, and I put half a frozen one. And the reason why I did that is that it makes it more creamy. The frozen banana or any frozen fruit will make your smoothie more creamy. So I put one fresh and one frozen.
What's in the other bag behind the...
That's hemp seeds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You put some
Put
ice
those in, yeah. Good source of protein, omega-3 fatty acids.
And
You
how
get
much
from your
did you
hemp
put in?
seed, a tablespoon of that too. And finally, let's see what else we can put in there. And we're going to put a drop of the marine phytoplankton. So it's a perfect introduction to this.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So just like we have freshwater blue-green algae, in the ocean we have phytoplankton. They're like the ultimate superheroes. They feed the longest living mammals on the planet, the blue and the humpback whales. Humpback whales live to be about 250 years old. And they're sexually active the entire time. They're one of the few species that actually engage in that activity right up to the time they die. Dolphins are another, human beings and chimpanzees are another. And strange how that works, but nevertheless, the blue-green, or the marine phytoplankton has everything you need for what we call ATP. That's your body's currency. So normally the most energy-depleting activities aren't going to have as much of a depleting activity on you if you're eating something with ATP in it already. So there's your clue, you know, how that works. Because the phytoplankton has pure ATP, so there's no need for your body to break it down and down and down to produce something that's going to produce electricity at the cellular level. It's there.
And also, I'm not sure if you mentioned it already, but for anybody that takes cod liver oil or any type of omega-3 fatty acid that comes from fish, that's where they get it from. That's where they get their fatty acids from, the marine phytoplankton. So why don't you just cut out the middleman and go right and take the marine phytoplankton? You're getting in a more absorbable form. Your body will be able to absorb all of that. Like Chad said, it doesn't have to convert it. So just take this. You know, another suggestion is instead of taking cod liver oil, this is definitely more natural, more potent, and more bioavailable, meaning your body will absorb it better. So that's all right. Let's blend this up. So if you want to get everything that Chad talked about tonight in one smoothie, this is what you make. You put everything in there, you take it to work, and you'll be on fire.